What is up, crypto community? Welcome back to another video. Thank you for joining me. I want to lead here with this clip from the annual meeting at Davos. It happens in Switzerland once a year. It brings together some of the most elite people in the world, and they talk about their plans for the next year and globalization. Take a listen. This is Brad Garlinghouse speaking at this conference this week.
Coolest stuff going on that's nascent around real utility use cases is happening outside the United States in places like Hong Kong or Singapore or Dubai, where there is clear regulatory frameworks. Most of the people who work in crypto want to follow the rules. There have to be clear rules. We talk a lot about the US regulatory environment for good reasons. But I think sometimes we don't talk enough about all of the constructive stuff going on outside the US, including Thailand.
Yeah, well, Tom looked like he wanted to jump in.
Well, and just on the comment that you were making earlier about what you're doing in Hong Kong, that's a really refreshing perspective for me to sit here and be hearing. You know, when I look at what's happened there, what's happened in Singapore, the idea that there are these regulatory sandboxes in different jurisdictions where there's actual collaboration between the public and private sector, and that development can go on without fear of some kind of retaliation against you, I think that really leads to good outcomes. So just want to congratulate you on that work. I think it's great.
Thank you. Actually, recently our Hong Kong Monetary Authority issued tokenized green bonds. So we try to lead by example in a way. This is use case very obvious. And apart from that, we just roll out a consultation paper about stablecoin. We think by doing this, we will step by step lead the investing public, and in the process.
First, stablecoins will lead this institutional racehorse, and then it's going to be things with utility. Brad Garlinghouse has said many times before, most cryptocurrencies in 10 years will not be here. The ones that will remain present and last the test of time are going to be the ones that actually solve business problems and ones that actually have utility. If you look at the bull run from 2014, 2017, 2020, 2021, every time there's a new top 10 cryptocurrency basket. Yes, you have Ethereum, which stayed from 2017, but typically it's just Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and then each bull run these cycle through. The ones that will be around in the future are going to be the ones that actually have utility. And JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon talked about this a few days ago. He came out on the news and he said Bitcoin does nothing after JP Morgan has been appointed the authorized participant of the BlackRock ETF. A good tweet here, talking about people just being brainwashed. The guy says, I've seen so many posts saying Bitcoin is dropping because no one is buying the Bitcoin ETFs. Could be true, could not be true. Might just be a buy the rumor, sell the news type event. Bitcoin is not dropping because people aren't buying it. It's dropping because whales that actually move the market are selling it and shifting their capital towards safe haven assets due to the recent risk-off market mood. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Bitcoin initially started gaining strength when the Federal Reserve cut the narrative, starting to get priced into stocks and other risk assets like crypto, driving excessive grease as we enter 2023. The elites use the media and the Bitcoin ETF narrative so you would buy, so they could dump on you. You think they don't follow macroeconomics and trends. Keep in mind, guys, Grayscale Bitcoin, which has the most quantity of institutional Bitcoins, wasn't allowed to be redeemable until the release of these ETFs last week. So that's also a lot of pressure. I think that's $26 billion in Bitcoin held by Grayscale that now can be redeemed for actual Bitcoins. So the longer this plays out, the more I'm starting to think that I'm right with the Bitcoin ETF, buy the rumor, sell the news type event. However, over time, these ETFs will be overall net positive for the space. In some lawsuit updates here, David Schwartz came out, Ripple CTO, and he said, meanwhile, at the Supreme Court today, and he has a quote here, I would think that the uniquely 21st century phenomena of crypto would have been addressed by Congress, and I certainly would have thought that would have been true in the wake of the FTX debacle, but it hasn't happened. Why hasn't it happened? Because there's an agency head out there, Gensler, that thinks he already has the authority to address this uniquely 21st century problem with a couple of statutes passed in the 1930s, talking about the Howey test. And Ripple head lawyer says, David has flagged a must-read quote from yesterday's Supreme Court argument, and I'll add this gem. And he quotes, And that ends with a phenomenon where we have major problems in society that aren't being solved because instead of actually doing the hard work of legislation where you have to compromise with the other side, you rely on an executive branch friend to do what you want. And it's not hypothetical. That, my friends, is the definition of regulation by enforcement. So with the new election cycle coming up, you could see a new head of the SEC, and I have a feeling it's not going to be Gary Gensler. And another lawyer in the XRP community chimes into what Stuart Alderati was saying. He says, yes, it's laughable. I buy XRP and I invest in an intermediate asset class called the XRP ecosystem. This is coming in response to the SEC claiming that an investment in a token like XRP is investing in the general ecosystem, which is a big connection to make. And like I was saying, in the future, with most cryptos not remaining through the test of time, only 2 to 3 Bitcoin ETFs will survive long term, the Grayscale CEO warns. And this is not surprising. I think there's 11 Bitcoin ETFs right now. One of them is already shut down because of not a lot of interest. And I think it's going to be a battle between who has the lowest management fee on these ETFs. Not one ETF is better than the other. The only competitive advantage they have here is these fees. And so I imagine it'll be some kind of fee battle going forward. And I want to leave you with this banger of a clip from Ripple CTO David Schwartz. This is the energy we need in the XRP community.
Do you mean if we remove the block reward from POW and staking rewards from POS, then the blockchain will be way greater?
Yes. Yes. So what will happen is if you don't get paid for mining or you don't get paid for staking, there's no financial reward to it. The only reason to do it is if you want the system to be robust, reliable, and decentralized. There's no other reason. If it's low cost, if you don't have to provide expensive hashing, if all you're doing is saying, hey, there's 2 equally good ways we can make forward progress, I vote for the left one. That's all you're doing. That's literally all you're doing. You're saying, when there's 2 equally good ways to make forward progress, you arbitrarily pick one and you vote for it. If that's all you're doing, there's almost no cost. And if your only reason to do it is because you want the network to be more reliable and decentralized, yeah, the network's going to be more reliable and decentralized. Why would anything else happen? There's no incentive to attack the system. All you do when you attack the system is you cause it not to make forward progress, and then people stop listening to you. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Wow, that's a very crazy statement.
I agree. And I was going to poll the audience and ask how many people think I'm crazy with a show of hands before the talk and how many people think I'm crazy afterwards with the show of hands. And I know the number would go up, but yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. And yes, it's good that you think it's crazy. That means you understood what I was saying.
Yeah, because I think if you are not crazy, then most of blockchain's founders are crazy. Because they all come with incentives, right?
You know what? You know why? It's because they want to be the forced stakeholders. They want to make money by solving other people's problems. That's why. If you want to make money by solving other people's problems, the last thing you actually want to do is let people solve their own problems at low cost. I can't tell you how many great ideas I saw. And like, oh, and we added a token to it. This way, here's our tokenomics. Like, God, it was a great idea and you just screwed it up. Solve people's problems. That's how you make money. You don't build, you don't build friction into the system, you build friction out of the system. So yes, I agree with you that that's what a lot of people are doing, and I think they're doing it because they're attracted by like the quick route to riches by solving other people's problems. But if the pitch is stakeholders can solve their own problems, you can be your own bank, you don't eBay without eBay, then there isn't going to be these parties that are making money like out of reducing the friction in the system. There just isn't. Sorry, if you're here trying to make money, I can't help you.
My brain is washed.
I thought these jobs at Ripple don't pay money. I thought you just had offered some jobs.
So that's actually a great question. So there's 2 very different things that we're doing at Ripple. We certainly do lots of things that make money, but the other thing that we're trying to do, and this talk is kind of more in that spirit, is grow the blockchain space so that it solves people's real problems. The analogy that I would give is like, imagine if you worked at Twitter in the marketing department. Now I've got this phone here. I can tweet anytime I want, anywhere I want, pretty much. That's great for Twitter. Twitter did nothing to put this phone in my pocket, right? This phone is in my pocket because of competitors to Twitter from the past and because of like an entire ecosystem that creates Twitter's market. And the vast majority of what like the spring part of Ripple does is we're trying to sort of build a thriving blockchain ecosystem. And because that's what we think is going to create a target market for us to sell products and services into. And so that doesn't require us to make money from that. Like Google helped